me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and cracker jack. I don't care if I ever get back. Let me root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. But it's 1, 2, 3 cycle out and be all holding. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and cracker jack. I don't care if I ever get back. Let me root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 cycle out and be all the ball game.
Hi, folks.
We're back.
Talkin' Baseball is back for season 11.
We've been doing this for
This
11
is the first
years.
episode, 11 years, and in those 11 years, over 25,000 Major League ball games have been played.
Wow,
We've covered 25,000 ball games.
that means two things. We've been here a long time, and we're getting old. The two things that means.
So this is Talkin' Baseball, coming to you from the Lunenburg Passio Studios, and we have a great tech crew of Dan and John putting us through the paces.
Yes.
Today the paces were quite lengthy.
Yes.
And we have the truck that has our great quiz questions. And
Yes, Deb, in our truck. This is Pete. I'm Jason. We're your co-hosts. We've been doing this for 11 years now, as crazy as that seems. And we could not do it without the truck. We are forever in their debt because there are lights and wires and mics and things, and I don't know how the hell any of these work. So we rely on them for that.
And if some of you are new to this show, we hope we've got a wider audience than ever.
Right.
We do this in sort of certain sections. We always pay tribute to great ball players who have passed away in the past year or at some point since our last show. We talk about the Hall of Fame. There's a truck episode. We have Fenway Memories we talk about. There's a Stump Jason question, which today the fans at home can probably do as well as he can.
All right, okay, good.
Because it's not an answer question, it's a figure out question.
Great, play along, yes.
And then we have a lot of other segments that are pretty standard, but if you haven't seen our show before, you'll get, I hope you enjoy it, because we're doing this not to prejudice anybody toward the Red Sox, but just to have a good time talking about our favorite sport.
Talking about our favorite sport.
Favorite sport.
And we're all live, in case you noticed. There are
right.
no edits here or anything like that. This is all off the cuff, people.
Just sitting here under the hot lights in the middle of the snow.
Right. So 2025 season opens in about 2 weeks.
That's right.
About 3 weeks.
Red Sox open in Texas.
Yes.
Where there will not be snow.
There will not be snow.
That's
No. There might still be some here. We don't know yet. But
Well, anyway, we start always with our in memoriam section.
Right.
And there were three very integral characters that passed away recently. And the first one we'd like to talk about is the 8th commissioner of baseball, whose name was
Fay Vincent.
Fay Vincent.
Fay Vincent. Now,
Probably not a name on everybody's tongue. He was only the commissioner for 3 years.
right.
And he only became commissioner because Bart Giamatti died.
Right.
And he replaced him as an interim, really.
I remember we were actually at Fenway when Bart Giamatti died.
Yep.
Remember that? They made an announcement during the
That's right.
game that he had died.
And what was so critical about that is just 8 days previous, he had banned Pete Rose for life.
That's right. Yep. And Vincent had some big shoes to fill because Bartlett Giamatti was really the future of baseball. And baseball kind of became a little bit of a wilderness when Vincent took over. There were some not good things that happened in his tenure.
I've come to regard the late 90s, early 2000s as baseball's blackest period since the Black Sox.
I agree.
Starting with the fact that the owners colluded not to sign any free agents.
Right.
And the baseball players went on strike.
Yep. And there was no World Series in
1994,
Yep.
they shortened the season in August. There's no World Series for only the second time. The other was World War II.
Right.
And they did the next season, 95, was cut short by 18 games.
Sure was.
So those 2 seasons were curtailed.
Right.
And then after that became the steroid era.
The steroid era, yeah.
And everybody's all excited about Mark McGuire and Sammy Sosa. But
And at the time, it was exciting, but in retrospect, it was not a good time for the sport. It really wasn't.
so he had to sort of. He was kicked out of his office.
Yes,
They
yeah.
didn't put him back in.
Right, and there was no commissioner for a while
right.
until Seelig took
Seelig
over.
took over.
Right.
There was a 6-year interim there.
Right, 6 years in between where they just said, screw it, we're not going to fill the commissioner's
The other thing
role.
that Vincent did was he banned Steinbrenner
That's
from
right.
daily use
That's
of
right.
the team.
That's right. That's right.
He took on George Steinbrenner.
So he has that going for him. But that was, yeah, I mean, like I said, if you were a fan in the 90s, it was a big deal then. It was very exciting. But almost 30 years later, it just was not a good time for baseball whatsoever.
No, it's not.
It was just ridiculous offense numbers and it was just, we like I said, Giamatti's death curtailed a lot of goodwill that baseball had.
He was a
heading into
wonderful
that time.
man.
He was.
A great writer.
Right.
The things he wrote about what was going on and what baseball meant as a sport. He was the president of Yale.
Right,
He
yeah.
was not just some baseball clown.
Right, right.
He was a brilliant man.
And his son's a wonderful actor too. So,
Sure is.
So speaking of wonderful actors, this one made me sad the most. We lost Mr. Baseball Bob Uecker, who was in his 90s when he died. He was the longtime broadcaster for the Brewers, but he kind of became famous for being a terrible baseball player. He had this very dry wit about himself and how bad that he was. He hit 200 for his career as a backup catcher, and he became famous for just being a bad player.
Well, he was very self-deprecating.
Yes, right.
He always put himself down. As
Right.
most ball players talk about themselves,
Right.
as we'll see in the next guy.
Right, yeah, right. And he was also just a great, just some great quotes. Like one of the things he said was, what's the best way to catch a knuckleball? And he said, yeah, just wait till it stops rolling and pick it up. You know? And then he had another thing where he said, it's great to pass down the baseball tradition to your kids. My son played third base today, and he struck out 3 times and made 2 errors, and we had to run to the car to the parking lot because the other parents got mad. I couldn't have been prouder of my son. Takes after his dad. And if you grew up in the 80s, you actually remember him. He went on to an acting career after his baseball career, believe it or not. He was on a show called Mr. Belvedere, where he was the father of the house.
Right.
And then he played an announcer in the major league movies where you get just a bit outside. So Mr. Uecker was just a wonderful guy, and I always felt very badly that he never got to see the Brewers win in his lifetime. That hurts. That really
And the
that would have been
commercial
special.
that he made became part of our language. So all the things that he said, that it's just.
So we'll share that commercial with you right now, so you can have some laughs.
You know, one of the best things about being an ex-big leaguer is getting freebies to the game. Call the front office, bingo. And once these fans recognize me, I probably won't even have to pay for my light beer from Miller. Down the track! I love them. These fans know I drink light because it's less filling and it tastes great. Good seats, huh?
You're in the wrong seat, buddy. Come on.
Oh, I must be in the front row.
Come on.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
Good seats, hey, buddy? He missed the tag! He missed the tag!
Okay.
All right, I must be in the front row.
Front row. Good seats, hey, buddy. Good seats.
Yeah, 40 years later, baseball fans still quote that ad. It's so funny. But R.I.P. Mr. Uecker, we miss you.
Yep, we do. And this last fellow we're going to talk about may be one of the all-time greatest ball players ever. Ricky Henderson. Amazing
is.
character. He's been in the Hall of Fame since 2009. But I don't want to overwhelm you with stats in this show. Right. But this is, some of his stats.
They're mind-boggling.
They're mind-boggling.
They really are.
He had 1,406 steals, which leads number 2 by 467,
Yeah.
and nobody gets 467.
Right.
He had more in the lead than anybody has.
Right.
Lou Brock had the record at 938.
Yeah.
And what kills me about that record is that now that they have changed it, you can only throw to first base twice.
Oh, imagine what he'd be doing right now.
I can
Oh, my
remember
God.
many games where they'd thrown him half a dozen times.
Oh, yeah, and he'd still steal on him. It didn't matter to
and
him.
he wasn't miraculously Mickey Mantle fast. He could gauge a pitcher.
Yeah.
And the more you threw over, the more he gauged.
Absolutely. He said that he used to watch the pitcher's feet and that's how we would know that it was time to take off to steal a base. But I think he's the greatest leadoff hitter ever, not just from the steals. He also walked 2,100 times. Barry Bonds is the only one who's ever walked more in his career.
He had more walks than Williams or Ruth.
Yep. So he's fast, 80 walks, and he actually surprisingly had some power too. I mean, he wasn't a power hitter,
He
but
had 80 game starting leading off home runs to start the game 80 times.
It's amazing.
And the second one, I'm surprised at this, is George Springer.
Yeah,
with 60.
That would not have sprung to my mind, but he led the league in steals 9 out of 10 years at one point. He won an MVP in 1990,
right.
And he played till he was 45 years old, and actually in the majors, and then he went and played in the minors for a couple more years, trying to hook on to a last team. And this is a great bar trivia question if you're out there. Because Ricky bounced from team to team. He was, I think, on 12 different teams. See if you can get this one. What was the last team he played for? Not a team you would ever picture him playing for. Any guesses?
Montreal.
No. The Dodgers. The Dodgers were the last team he played for. Yep.
Wow.
Yes. So.
Well, if you got that out there,
if you got out that out there, then you should have been watching this show a lot sooner than now.
We have a great clip of Ricky Henderson.
Here's Ricky.
This was a classic moment.
Yeah.
I would like to thank God for giving me that opportunity. I want to thank the Haas family, the Oakland organization, the city of Oakland, and all y'all beautiful fans for supporting me. First of all, I would like to thank my mom, my family, friend, and loved one for their support. I want to give my appreciation to the late Tom Trevorhorn and the late Billy Martin. Billy Martin was a great manager. He was a great friend to me. I love you, Billy. I wish he was here. Luke Brock was the symbol of great base stealing. But today, I'm the greatest of all time. Thank you.
And there he was.
What
he said.
There he was.
I'm the greatest of all time.
And just another great Ricky story. It was spring training, and he was in his 40s, and he was on the team bus. And he sat up front with all the rookies. And you know how during spring training, the veterans sit in the back, and the kids sit up front and whatever. And one of the coaches went to him and said, "Ricky, you have tenure. You don't have to sit with the rookies." And he just looks right at the coach and said, "Ricky don't have tenure. Ricky have 18 year." So that was Ricky Henderson right there.
One more sport about him. He led the league in steals 9 out of 10 years. One year he didn't play a full season, and Harold Reynolds won it.
That's right.
With 60. Shortly after he was declared stolen base champion, Ricky called
Harold.
Said, this is Ricky. Harold, you stole 60 bases. Ricky had that in a half season.
It's true. It's true. I mean, picture this. Somebody could play baseball for 20 years, have 70 steals a year, and still not catch him. I mean, that's astounding when you think about it, how ridiculous he was. But R.I.P. Ricky, one of the great characters of the game. And I think the greatest leadoff hitter of all time.
Okay, now keeping up with the tradition. There's a question we used to call Stump Jason, but it also can be Stump the Audience.
Yes.
Okay?
Please play along.
Now, this is not a question that you would know the answer to instantly.
Okay.
With logic and deduction,
Okay.
you can figure out the answer.
Not always my strong suits, but
Okay.
let's do it.
All right. Red Sox have been in operation for 125 years.
Mm-hmm.
What team have they beaten the most times?
Okay.
What team have they beaten the most times?
All right.
The answer to that will be later on in the show.
Okay.
You get some time to to ponder
Yeah,
that.
okay.
And if
All
you
right.
use logic and deduction,
Okay.
there's only one possible answer.
Are we counting like if a team switched
Oh, of course,
locations?
of
Okay,
course.
so it does count.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
There's
Okay.
someone that they played for 125 years.
Okay, got
Okay.
it. Got it.
All right. Now, what we also have is a section called tidbits.
Yeah, these are just little fun things that happen. Yeah.
Interesting things that took place that you may not have paid attention to, or that deserve conversation.
Sure.
Or that don't fit in any other category.
Right.
Okay.
This is our hodgepodge category, as they say on Jeopardy.
And the first one is the one thing that lightened my heart through this deadly winter. The Yankees lost Soto.
Yes, and
Oh, shucks.
he went to the Mets, which just drives the dagger a little deeper. He stays in New York but goes to the other team. He signed 15 years for $750 million.
15
Think about that.
years.
15 years, people.
He's going to be playing into his 40s.
Right. Yeah. And imagine like he breaks his kneecap this season and never plays again. That's the chance you take with free agents, people.
That's why the ball clubs have insurance policies.
Yes, and that's why the players always take the money. You never know when you're going to get hurt and your career is over. But this is a huge blow to the Yankees. Huge blow to the Yankees. He protected Judge all last year.
Soto and Judge back-to-back, arguably the best two players in the majors.
Oh, right.
Arguably.
Yeah.
And they're playing back-to-back.
How do you work around him?
All of
You
a
can't.
sudden now, no one's protecting Judge.
Right.
And it certainly isn't going to be Goldsmith.
No. Judge is going to walk 200 times this year. Why would you pitch to him after that? So.
Okay, Jake, see if you can explain why the major leagues are deciding to possibly use the umpires' balls and strikes called by a machine.
Oh, okay.
How that's going to work?
Well,
'Cause I don't understand it.
How this works is they're trying to go to an automated strike zone, which is going to be implemented at some point. I think that the umpires will go the way of the dodo eventually, as at home plate anyway. And it just takes a little picture of the strike zone, and you've probably seen them on ESPN. They have the K zone and things like that.
Right.
And it's a three-dimensional. It goes this way and comes back a little bit too. And it just is able to detect when a ball passes through what the strike zone is per batter. Now, you can debate its strengths and weaknesses and whatever. We've always been for it on this show, 100%. But they started implementing it in some of the minor league camps, and I think there were 7 or 8 parks that have capability right now.
Capability of it,
So
yes.
it's not widespread yet, but it will be as more parks implement it. But how it works is only a catcher, a batter, or a pitcher can challenge a bad pitch call.
Right.
But you can challenge a call, and they will go back and look at the just like any other replay. They'll go back and take a look, and if the ump missed it, then the call gets reversed.
But you only get 2 such challenges a game.
You get 2 per game, so
2
you
per
better make
game.
them. You better make them count.
So if it's in the second inning and you get called out on a strike this far out,
right, an Angel Hernandez strike, as we call it.
Yes.
So,
you're just going to waste it.
right. So something else that's kind of weird. Speaking of Yankees, actually, is that for those of you who don't follow baseball, the Yankees have always implemented a no facial hair policy.
That's right.
Or if they did, it was, Mattingly had a mustache, but you couldn't have a beard if you were on the Yankees. Who knows why, whatever. The Yankees lifted that this year. You can't have the Charlie Blackmon long hair and beard down to here or whatever, or the Brian Wilson when he had the little, chain going there. But you can have neat facial hair on the Yankees this year.
Yeah.
And gee, Alex Verdugo missed it by a season. That's just too bad. I'm sorry, Alex. So
Do you know what other team instituted that for quite a long time?
the Reds
The
did,
Reds
didn't they?
did.
Yes.
You're right.
Yep,
The
yep,
Reds.
And the weirdest thing I remember, if you remember Jeff Reardon, he was a very good closer. Always had mostly with the Expos, he was with the Sox for a few years, always had a big beard, like this big dark beard. And he went to the Yankees and the Reds in the same season, I think. He was with both of them. And you couldn't recognize him.
Who's this guy?
Who is this guy? That's Jeff Reardon? Oh my God. So that's big news. The Yankees are the last team to have a facial hair policy like that.
I don't know. They didn't sign anybody with a beard. So
Not that I know of.
must have had to be pressure from something.
Something, I don't know. Somebody complained at some point, but
There's going to be 2 new teams next year.
Right.
It's going to be very strange. The A's have finally left Oakland, and they're supposedly going to Las Vegas by 2028.
right.
But for a while, they're going to be playing in Sacramento in a 13,000 stadium.
In minor league stadium,
Minor
that
league,
seats 13,000. So
and
it's
they're
like
not,
Polar
and
Park.
they're not going to be called the Sacramento A's. They're just the
They're
Athletics.
just the Athletics.
Just the
yeah,
Athletics.
Right. There was some legal royalty thing that they couldn't use Sacramento or whatever. So they're just the A's. That's all they are. So, I mean, what team has traveled more than the A's?
They're the most.
I mean, unbelievable. They were Philly, then KC and Oakland. Now they're going to be Las Vegas A's. And
So Sacramento.
Sacramento, then Las Vegas.
Five different parks.
5 different names for
at
the
the
A's, yeah. And then the other one is that due to bad weather, then thank God, actually, the Rays will be playing at Steinbrenner Stadium, which again is a minor league park.
If you haven't been following the news all winter, the storm that raged through Florida ripped the worst park in
Major League
history to pieces. There's no dome on it
the
anymore.
the top of the trop got ripped off.
The A-rings got sent into the ocean.
Right, and if you remember the trop, it was a white roof, and players would lose sight of the ball on pop-ups, and it would hit catwalks and bounce at crazy angles.
terrible.
And it was just the worst place to play a game.
And the fans did nothing but ring cowbells.
Yeah, right. Well, the fans that did show up.
That's
Right. And it was in a weird part. It was in St. Pete, but it was
in St. Pete.
it was way north of the city. It was a real pain to get to.
It was nowhere near Tampa.
Right. It was way north of Tampa. So hopefully, I mean, I'm sorry. I know they're in the same division as the Sox, but I want baseball to thrive in Tampa Bay. It's good for the sport to have a team in Florida that does well. And they've always had that problem that Florida's a lot of transplants. There are probably more Yankees fans in Tampa than Rays fans, to be honest with you.
Steinbrenner Stadium.
They're exactly.
when the Yankees play there, it's a home
Right.
game.
Oh yeah, it is. It really is. Yeah. So the Rays will be a nomad team, just like the A's will be this year. And is there any ETA from when that new park is going to be built? I don't think they even announced a date, did they?
Do they even have money for it?
I have no idea. I don't know what they're going to
Because
do.
they've been wanting to build a park for
A long time.
decades.
A long time. Who knows? Well, maybe this will
But
finally get it
the
done.
major leagues require 30,000 seats to have a park.
Right.
But this is just an emergency situation.
Right. Yeah, you don't have a choice.
But there's 2 parks in the American League that have 12,000 people.
Right. So attendance will be down, people. There's no way around it.
Don't go there.
Yep. So our last segment, you can do this as a lifelong collector. You can take over
Yes.
this part.
The 2025 Topps cards have arrived.
Yes.
I bought my first pack of cards. I don't care if you know how old I am. I bought my first pack of cards in 1951. It was a Bowman 5-cent pack with 6 cards in it. The first card I ever owned was Mayo Smith, the manager of the Phillies.
Mayo Smith.
And in the 75 years the Topps have existed, I have them all.
Amazing, isn't it? Yeah.
I've collected every Topps card
Amazing.
and every Bowman card. I finished it this winter. And here's the new set.
Here it is, people. Here it is. The old wax packs. Remember?
They used to have wax packs.
Yep.
These now cost $7 a pack
Right.
instead of a nickel.
Right.
They used to have penny packs.
They did. Yep. Even when I was young, they were still 25 cents, and they had the gum in them too. That
And you can't find these except, I don't know where you can find these except That's Entertainment in Fitchburg and online.
Right. Yeah. It used to be every store would have them right at the register.
Every variety store right
yeah.
there.
Yeah. And you grab a couple packs, and you were.
I
paying
remember
for
once I
everything.
went in, I think I had 50 cents, which was rare. Yeah. And I went in, I tried to buy 50 packs.
Yeah.
He said, "Oh, you can't take 50 packs. All the children have to have a share." I said, "Are you in business?"
Right. I know. Hey.
I can still see her.
I
I
remember the best spot we used to go was the Turnout over in
right,
Leominster. The
that's right,
Turnout always
that's
had
right.
tons of cards. in
And there were a couple of card dealers in town too.
Yeah, well, and I think we talked about this before. The card store has just gone the way of the dodo, speaking of
Right.
things that don't exist anymore. If you remember in the late 80s, early 90s during the boom, sports cards places were everywhere. Yeah. Every town had 3 or 4 of them, and they're almost non-existent now.
You know where they are now? eBay.
Yes, they're all
You
on
can buy
eBay.
any card you want. I do all my card shopping
Absolutely.
on eBay for the last 10 years.
Absolutely.
And you can own anything you want. You may have several price differences.
Right. Yep.
I just bought a Topps 81 traded set,
Yeah.
and Valenzuela was missing from it.
Really?
So I gave that guy a 1-star review. He scooped the
The best
card.
card. The Fernando 81 card was the best one.
So we thought we'd do is open a pack each.
Yeah, see
who can get the best card.
See who we have in here.
them open.
All right, let's see what we got. All right. You want to go first?
No, you have to read mine.
All right.
I'm in the midst of having my eyes fixed.
He just had some cataract surgery. So, top one, Ellie De La Cruz. That's a good one. That's a good one right there. Incoming slam dunk talent. This is a rookie Guardians card. Andrew Vaughn of the White Sox. I have no idea. Oh, we got Judge. All right. Yes, there it is. He wins. He got Judge. Wow, that's awesome.
Only Red Sox can beat him.
We got a Tampa Bay Rays
Just
team
open yours
card.
then.
Matt Olson, Bryce Terang, Seth Brown.
Oh, Judge card.
Well, you know what it's all about. Oh, we got a Mike Schmidt Hall of Fame card. That's a cool one too. And there are some rookie cards. They put gold on the rookie cards too. So let's see who I have. I have Nacho Alvarez Jr. I think he beats Judge. I'm not lying. His name is Nacho Alvarez Jr.
That's
Nacho Alvarez.
He's a snack. That's not a player.
Snack, I know. Lane Thomas, Connor Joe, Blake. I don't know any. Oh, I got DeGrom. Oh yeah, I'll take Jacob DeGrom. An Angels card. This Glass. No. Okay, he's pretty good. Let's see, and nobody else that I know here. So I think you win. You got Judge in one pack. So
I'll take bids on it.
yeah, right. So just Judge made these 2 packs that are $7 a piece worth it. So that's some good carding there. That was very nice. Awesome. So
Well, here's another episode from the truck. The truck is, if you don't know what the truck refers to, there's a truck outside Fenway Park that feeds the announcers information and keeps them in line, also runs the different camera angles for everything. So we have our own Debbie Lincoln playing the truck, who each week will ask, each show will ask a question and give you a little bit of information. So here's the truck.
here's the truck.
Hello, baseball fans. It's spring. Even though there are icicles and all kinds of snow out there, it's spring. And guess what? There is baseball on my TV, and that makes me so happy. But that reminds me of something that I want to share with you. Maybe some of you got your Nesson bills and you went through the roof. Well, I want to talk to you a little bit about that. What you need to do if you want to watch baseball on Nesson is call your Nesson representatives, because I have a friend who called up and said, you know what? I'm not going to pay for Nesson this year. I just want internet. And guess what? She got Nesson for $1.45 for 2 years. So don't give up on watching Nesson. Call your Comcast people and tell them that you just want internet, and you might get a deal so you can still watch Nesson. So I'm passing that along to you. So this year, the truck is going to do something a little bit different. We're going to do nicknames and see if the guys can identify people, baseball players, by their nicknames. Pete is going to get nicknames from the 50s and 60s, and Jake is going to get nicknames from the 80s and 90s. So here is the nickname for Pete, the Little Professor. And here is the nickname for Jake, Gator. And remember, it's spring, baseball is here, and keep on trucking.
Okay, and we're back.
Well.
So
We've
been put on the spot.
challenged.
We've been put on the spot. So would you like to
Okay.
take yours
Well,
first?
you're good. We probably have more young viewers than old.
Yeah.
So why don't you take the
Okay, you go first, though.
No,
We've been indicated that you go first.
Oh, okay.
So they've lined up yours first.
I see. The truck is giving us
Yeah, the
direction.
truck
It's doing its job.
The
That's
truck is
awesome.
keeping us in line.
That's great.
See? That's what the
Okay,
truck does.
the question I was asked is, who was the Little Professor? It was kind of unusual, in fact, extremely unusual for a ball player to wear glasses back then. And Joe DiMaggio's brother, Dominic DiMaggio, wore glasses.
There he is.
And he was the center fielder for the Red Sox, an outstanding ball player. There used to be people in Fenway Park that would sing Don DiMaggio better than his brother Joe. I used to sing that all the time. So that's who the Little Professor is. And he played through all through the 50s, but he played in the 46 World Series, but never won a World Series ball.
And he's a player who according to modern statistics, was extremely undervalued then.
right.
Because he was fantastic defense, which you couldn't quantify then. They didn't have a way to do it. You just sort of went by eyesight. But now with stats like WAR and URZ and things like that, he was a five-tool player. He really was. He was good at everything. He could hit, he could field, he could run, he did everything.
In 1950, the Red Sox team average was 303, which is the highest any team ever hit.
Right.
He was the leadoff hitter. Pesky was second.
Right.
Williams was third. What a team that was.
Yeah, where it was, and they didn't win. It's unfortunate.
Came in third.
So my guy is the Gator, and anyone who was a Sox fan in the 80s and 90s knows this guy. This is Mike Greenwell, one of my all-time favorite players, just because he was a wacko. He used to.
Well, how would he get his
They
name?
called him Gator because he grew up in Florida, and in the off season he used to wrestle alligators. Now nowadays they would have a rider in your contract and say, Mike, you can't do that. But he didn't care. He wrestled alligators to stay strong in the off season. And if you watched him, he sort of played like a headless chicken. He would just run around at top speed. He would dive head first into first base, which I don't know what that would accomplish. He would go out in left field and just sort of run as hard as he could at everything and run into walls and steal bases. In fact, but he did have one career year and he came in second to Jose Canseco as an MVP. He was second in MVP voting, lost to Canseco, and he's been campaigning ever since that. Canseco has since been found that he took steroids that year. Greenwell's been campaigning that they should take away that MVP and give it to him.
Give him the asterisk.
Give him he gets the MVP. Canseco gets the asterisk. Mike Greenwell also has a really cool record. He has the record for the most runs batted in by himself in a game. The Red Sox won a game 9-8. And he knocked in all 9 runs just on his own. No one else has ever knocked in 9 runs just by himself. It was a grand slam and another homer and I think a double and a single. And every time up he knocked in at least one run.
And we were listening to that game.
I think we scored that game actually, if I remember right. I think we have the
Most likely.
scorebook. Yeah, I think we do have the scorebook. But yeah, the Gator, Mike Greenwell, and he was a very, very good hitter, and injuries took away a lot of his power.
Yeah.
You know, he could always hit for average. Even late in his career, he was still a good singles, doubles hitter. Yeah. But I think it was about 1990 he got hurt and was never quite the same player after that.
Right.
But he was a long-time Red Sox out in left field. So we love you, Gator.
Yeah, he was great.
Fun to watch.
It was not a great period for the Sox.
No, it was. He was one of the few highlights of of those horrible Hobson teams.
Well, we've already mentioned this deal with Soto. All the interim between the end of the season and the start of the season is always filled up with free agency.
The hot stove, baby.
The hot
stove.
It gives writers something to do.
Gives
all
everybody.
winter.
Well, it gives the MLB Network something to do too. How often did you go to channel 914, the MLB Network, and it said hot stove?
And every writer makes up something that would be good.
Right.
Or most likely, they'll take the top 50 free agents and say, these are the 5 teams the most likely
to sign, yeah. And always the Yankees are there, always the Mets are there, always the Dodgers are there because they sign everybody.
The Rays are never there.
The Rays are never there. The Pirates are never there. Yeah. So we thought we'd sort of do like a point counterpoint on free agency.
Yeah.
And the good side and the bad side.
Okay. It's here to stay.
It is.
Because as they proved in 1995.
Yeah.
We're not going to lose more World Series over it.
No, we really are.
Just count point to point. I like that.
Yeah.
You take pro.
So my one big pro of this is that we just talked about. It keeps fans' interest all winter.
Right.
You know, every sport has a down season. And when you're in the doldrums of winter and it's snowing outside, you can turn on MLB Network and they will have free agent talk. Yes. And occasionally there are some big free agent signings during the winter, you know, because they have the winter meetings when most of it gets done. But even outside the winter meetings, there are occasionally some big splashes that happen. And they're right through spring training. I mean, even now free agents are signing contracts in the middle of March.
That's right.
And I think it keeps the fans as part of into the game, even in the slow season.
Thinking about baseball.
Thinking about baseball, yes. So the second one is that so we took notes here. Yeah. So the second one is this was a big how it came about in the first place is that it doesn't make the player, I hate to use the term, but it doesn't make the player a slave to a certain team. And that's where free agency originated from, is that the players didn't want to have these contracts where they were hamstrung to one team their entire career.
Which is the way it was for 60
It
years.
was that way all into the 70s. It was always that way. You were stuck with the team you're on unless you got traded. You had no say in your salary or where you played or a lot of other things. And that's, was the players union and free agency. That's all that came about. And tying into that, another good thing is that it gives player freedom of choice.
That's right.
People forget, baseball players are employees. This is a business. And if you're an employee, you should have every right to shop around.
We've said that for 11 straight
11
seasons.
Baseball is a business, and the players are the employees. Reiterating that. So if you have a chance to go and seek out a better opportunity as an employee, which you should, baseball players are no different from that. It gives them that leeway to go and explore other things. And it also allows the player to choose any offer. It's not always the highest offer.
right.
It's any offer on the table.
Right.
A player can choose any team to go with. Plenty of players. I remember when the Sox were going after it was Sonny Gray a couple of years ago. Gray took a lower deal because he lives in the Midwest and he wanted to play with the Cardinals at the end of his career and stay close to home. And things like that happen.
And the free agents are older players.
Of course.
Most of them have families by this point.
Right.
And to uproot their families and go from a different coast or something might be a factor.
No, of course it is. Of course. Who was the one of the Rays did that too? I forget who it was. But yeah, it gives that player the freedom of choice. And like I said, it's a business. It allows players to take the highest if they want to. It sets precedent for future free agents.
Usually when it gets into 9 figures, they'll probably take the highest offer.
Of course they will. Right? Yeah. Well, as would I. As would I. And people say, oh, these contracts are ridiculous. You know what? These players are in the top millionth of 1% of what they do in the world. And think of how much money they generate. If anything, they're underpaid compared to the revenue they create. So those are the pros of free agency. Now here comes the downside.
The downside is the non-fans hear this insanity being paid. They're paying a baseball player 15 years and $1 billion.
Yeah.
That's terrible. That's why we can't take our families to a ball game. It's too expensive.
Right.
Well, I checked the figures. To take a family of 4 to a Celtics game, the cheapest seats you can get will cost you a total of $400. Take a Patriots game, $800. Bruins game, $520. Fenway Park, $80. It's 1/4 as expensive as any other sport.
And it's the cost of entertainment. That's what it's entertainment, people.
Right.
It's an entertainment business. So it's right in line with any other entertainment cost. So
Why don't you read these last two for me?
So what happened, and inevitably what happens with free agency, this is a downside, is that the top 3 or 4 guys get all the big money, and the rest of the players get the scraps.
That's right.
I mean, there are some
Remember a
players
couple years ago, Machado? Everybody was after Machado.
Right.
Who's talked about him the last year?
because he signed the big contract already. So now they've moved on for they were players. Verdugo is unsigned right now. And there are a couple other players that are still out there who don't have contracts because all the big guys sucked up all the top players.
In fact, I've already seen a list of next year's free agents.
Oh, of course. Oh, yeah. They're already lining up for it. Yeah. And the last one is whether it's fair or not is up for debate, but it puts enormous pressure on the players to perform. Soto is never going to live up to that contract in the eyes of many Mets fans.
If he has a bad first month, they'll boo the hell out of him.
Oh, of course they will. Absolutely. They want them the fans want them to earn their money, forgetting that they're people. And I would probably put pressure on me if I was earning that much money too. And maybe not.
Give it a shot.
Maybe not. But keep in mind, people say, oh, well, that's their job. How many jobs do you know of where it's another person's job to prevent you from doing your job?
Yep.
So that keep that in mind, people. That they're employees, but they're also fighting other employees to do well. Right. And so those are sort of the things that come up. But you're right about the people who are outside of the sports world.
That's right.
They hear those salaries and they think, oh, that's way too much money. It's way too much money. Well.
They're just ball players.
They're just ball players. It's a kid's game. It's a multi-billion-dollar entertainment business, people. So.
Well, next thing we have is Fenway Memories. We've got to
Yes.
cut this kind of short, I think.
Yes.
What we've always done since we've been to Fenway Park forever is think of something that we saw that would be worth passing on. And the one I'd like to talk about is picked up by my wife Debbie and I when we were out in Anaheim at a game. And the people in front of us were playing this strange deal. They took a baseball cap and they each put a dollar bill in it, and every half inning they would pass it along till somebody won. We said, how do you win? And we finally had to ask him. At the end of every half inning, the umpire takes the first ball to be used in the next inning, rolls it out toward the mound. And they were betting on whether it was on the mound or rolled into the grass. If it rolled onto the mound, however much money was in the hat went to the person that got the hat. So every half inning they would pass the hat along, and sometimes it would have $20, $30 in it, or sometimes it would land 2 or 3 times in a row. But it's something I never noticed before.
No, I never thought about this.
And it's a great thing to play if you're with people who don't really care about baseball.
Or kids.
Kids.
Right.
I won't say women.
Yeah.
But,
no, not at all.
I didn't say women.
No.
Because the truck is probably more of a fan than we are.
Yeah, I know. The truck is the biggest fan of all of us.
But anytime you're at a game with someone that isn't interested, it gives them something to do.
Yes.
And they can win some money.
Yes, I know. Yes, you and I are fortunate that we are married to fans, so we cannot say women.
But that was, I think it's kind of neat. Something to try when you go to the next game.
Yeah, it's very interesting. That's really cool. So my Fenway memory, and I've said this before, but I think it bears repeating. Is that we used to have a tradition with the season about to start. We used to have a tradition of going to not the first game of the year, the second game of the year.
Second game.
Every year we went, and back in well into the 90s actually, I think even into the 2000s, April home games were always day games. They were 1 o'clock games. And, the TV has changed that. They want to put everything in prime time now, but they always had. Right through into May, home games 1 o'clock all April. And so we used to go to the second game of the year, which if you're going to go to a game, that's the easiest game to get tickets to.
That's right.
Everybody goes to opening day. Nobody goes to the second game because it's cold, it's April. They're usually playing a crap team in April because they get all those out of the way. And we used to, now that he's retired and I'm not in school, we used to bag school and go every year. We would so every year about April 12th, we would suspiciously be absent from school at the same time. I remember one year was the only day I missed.
I got to take an amendment to that. I never missed a day of school. I started teaching in 64, and from 64 to 77, 75, I never missed a day.
That's amazing.
Except opening day. Opening day.
Yeah.
In 75, I got the job coaching varsity baseball at school. I said, I can't bag that job.
Right.
So I didn't. I showed up at school that day. The principal said, what are you doing here? I got a sub for you.
That's great.
I said, well,
that's great.
And somebody's going to cover your team. So I got back in the car, went to
the game, right? That's great. But
what are you doing here?
What that ties, how that's sort of a memory is that we were talking about people going to games. If you want to go to a game and you want to sort of be economical and stuff, go to an April game at Fenway. They're very affordable. There are always tickets available during April games.
You can sit anywhere you want.
Good seats. Just bundle up. It's April in Boston. But if you're going to go to a game and you want to get good, reasonable prices, April is the time, especially against bad teams too.
Right.
The Oakland the A's now. The A's in April is a perfect time to go because it's not a high demand team. So try to get to an April game. It's well worth it.
Good.
Well worth it.
Well, that takes us to answer to Stump Jason.
Okay.
Now, I'll review the question.
Yeah.
And it's just, in the 125 years of Red Sox games.
Yeah.
What team have they beaten the most?
Oh my God. Well, it can only be about 3 or 4 teams. There are only teams that have been in the AL that long.
Let me hear your logic get through.
Well, it would be the Tigers or Orioles or Yankees because they've been in the AL the longest with the Red Sox. Because the Browns were the Orioles played as the Browns. I'm going to guess the Yankees.
They've lost the most to the Yankees.
Right.
They
Okay.
lost the most.
Okay.
So you got that part right, not the most.
Is it
Now, you think it through now. It has to be someone that's been original team.
right?
It has to be someone they've always played the most every year.
Right.
And who do they play the most now?
The Yankees and Orioles. It's the Orioles. It was the Orioles. I didn't say them because this is why I did not say them. Because when they were the Browns, the Sox always had trouble with the Browns for some reason.
Well, they did in our time.
Yeah, right.
The first 40 years, they never lost. to
That's
them.
true. So it's the Browns Orioles. That was my
Baltimore
second
Orioles.
guess. That was my second
Beaten
guess.
1,265 times.
Wow.
And here's a neat thing.
Yeah.
What team do you think they've beaten the least?
Oh
10
God.
times.
It would have to be like an interleague team, right?
Oh, yeah.
It would have to be somebody in the National League. Oh God. Dodgers?
Yes.
All right. Yeah.
What's cool about that is
Yeah.
this. They've only beaten the Dodgers 10 times.
Yeah.
But they've beaten them 8 times in the 2 World Series they played.
That's right. That's so cool. That's really cool.
In 1918, they played
Right,
the Dodgers.
right.
And,
And 2018.
2018.
2018.
2018.
So 100 years apart.
And-
See, I got the second half.
They've only beaten them 10 times ever.
Yeah, so twice during the regular season. That's it. That's amazing. Oh. Well, I was close. It was second guess. So,
So if any of you folks out there, I
hope
hope you were able to use logic and deduction and come
Yeah, right.
up with the Orioles.
Oh. So
Next section now. We always try to make sure that we have time to talk about the new Hall of Famers.
right, we're just going to get into them real briefly here because we're running up against the clock. But you want to take the first one, or should I take that one? Or should I
Okay,
take it?
yeah, let's see here.
You want to take Ichiro?
Ichiro, I have to say this about Ichiro. Ichiro, arguably, is one of the all-time greats in many places. He has the most hits in Major League history because if you count what he did in Tokyo, in Japan, he had more hits than Pete Rose.
Yes. Yeah.
Most hits ever.
4,300. Yep.
His first 10 seasons, he had over 200 hits, including one year where he had 256 hits, which is the all-time record for
All-time
hits in a
record.
season.
Amazing.
He had a Gold Glove each of the first 10 seasons.
Right.
And one person did not vote him for the Hall of Fame.
Ridiculous. Absolutely
Somebody
ridiculous.
said,
Ichiro,
Ichiro, yeah.
And if you remember at the time, we were talking about player pressure. There had been Japanese pitchers who had succeeded in baseball, but there were still some doubters who thought that an everyday Japanese player would succeed in the major leagues.
Right.
He was the first big Japanese superstar position player.
He also had 647 steals.
Yes, he
I mean,
did.
his record's insane.
Yeah,
what he did.
between when you add in Japan and
So
MLB,
he was elected to the Hall of Fame by 99.5%.
because one jerk didn't vote for him. So the second one is somebody you're familiar with, CC Sabathia, who was a large dude. We used to call him Cookies and Cakes for his CC initials. However, this guy was a hell of a pitcher. He came up with the Indians and won a Cy Young with the Indians, briefly went to the Brewers, and then ended up on the Yankees. He has 250 career wins, which in today's game is a ton. That is a lot of games won in today's game.
Winning starting pitchers wins mean nothing.
They mean nothing now. They mean nothing. Yeah. But he
Crochet won 6 games last year.
yeah, and they're touting him as an ace. So, he was. I think he's one of the last true workhorses that the major leagues.
Well, he
is
was a
gonna
horse.
see.
He weighed 300 pounds.
He did.
And I don't know of any player that ever weighed more than that.
No, he was
I
an
think
enormous guy. Yeah. But he was a great guy to have on your team. He was a great clubhouse guy. He won Cy Young in 2007. He made 6 All-Star teams. 2009, he won 19 wins. 2010, he won 21 wins, which led the league at that point in his career. He was well on in his career. He was at the Yankees at that point. He was 10-7 in the postseason.
But never won a World Series game.
Never won a World Series game. But
So I didn't vote for him.
but I think he was well deserved. He's absolutely And he had over 3,000 career strikeouts.
That's right.
Don't forget that too.
Right.
And the last guy, I'm going to take this guy.
Jason is
because
touting this
if
guy.
you remember back in season 1, I was touting this guy, and he finally got in. Billy Wagner, on his 10th try on the ballot, finally gets in the Hall of Fame.
Yay.
Now, Billy Wagner's, if you don't, interesting story about Billy Wagner, he was a lefty closer, which is very rare. And how he became as a lefty is when he was a kid, he broke his right arm.
Yep.
And so to continue throwing, he started to throw with his left arm. And he became a lefty because of a childhood accident. He had to learn how to field opposite when his arm healed, because he wasn't used to wearing a glove on the other hand, but that's how he became a lefty. And this guy threw fire.
Yeah.
I remember at Fenway, when he was with the Astros, he came in, first pitch, 100. Next pitch, 100. The third pitch, 98. And from behind us, we heard, oh, that's his changeup. Just the absolute hardest thrower you would ever imagine.
I think he has the most percentage of strikeouts.
He has the highest strikeout rate of any retired player.
Yeah.
I think Chapman is ahead of him actively. But of any retired player, he has the highest strikeout rate. He also has the second best ERA plus ever in baseball. Rivera's first. Yeah. Wagner's second. Right. He has the 8th most saves. He has the most. He has 1,100 strikeouts, which is the 7th most of any reliever. 7 All-Star games. And the opposite of Sabathia, he was 5'10" and 180 pounds.
Imagine that.
He was a skinny guy, and he threw 100. But he was just, and I think he has the lowest whip of any reliever ever, too. Probably. The lowest hits per 9 innings. He was just absolutely dominant. You could not hit this guy.
So he finally made it in.
He finally made it in on the 10th thing. So we actually need to wrap this up. We only about 2 minutes left. So, we got
to introduce the truck.
We got to introduce Sully.
Sully.
Yeah, we got to
hit the truck.
We got to hit the truck.
This is my first season. Relax.
We had our friend Sully came by in the
Sully
studio.
showed up. We love the Sully coming in, and so we're gonna pause and see what he's got to say today. Hi, folks. You people might remember in the year 2022. Or 23, I think it was, season 9 anyway, we introduced a character named Sully from Revere, who came in and did some ads for us when we were doing the fake ads that everybody seemed to fall for.
Right.
The next season, Sully decided to be interviewed. He wanted more FaceTime. So we had a lot of interviews with him, and he was sprung from prison twice to help us out. One time he actually had to do the show in prison. But this season we decided to spring Sully and make him a regular character on our show. So folks, Sully from Revere.
I'm a full-blown consultant now. Look at this. You know, hey, I've done worse jobs than this. Let me tell you, the last time I wore a mic like this, I was getting interviewed about a robbery in Watertown that I knew nothing about. So I'm telling you, I knew nothing about it.
Well, let me ask you a couple of baseball questions before we get into your more personal affairs.
All right, okay.
What do you think is going to happen to the Yankees now they've lost Soto?
I love it, man. I love it. You know, the more you can take away from the Yankees, the better. And he went to the freaking Mets, too. I freaking love it. Let's go Mets. All right, let's go Mets. Yeah, yeah, I'm telling you, that lineup is going to go right in the toilet. Let me tell you, without Soto. They're going to walk Judge 200 times this year. I'm telling you, you know. And, you know, hey, don't blame Soto. You take the money, too. Hey, here's $750 million. Hey, I'll take that.
Now, I know you're not a prognosticator, but what do you think the Sox are going to do to improve themselves this season?
All right, here's my bold prediction for the Red Sox this year. 92 wins. 92 wins and a playoff spot. Now, I don't know what they're going to do in the playoffs, but I'm predicting 92 wins. The rotation's going to come together. The defense is better. Bregman's going to be a big deal. He's going to be a big deal this year. 92 wins in playoffs, baby. You heard it here first from Sully.
Now, I understand that Sully's had some addition to his company lately. You want to tell us a little bit about your
Yeah, there's a lucky lady in Sully's life. Let me tell you, her name's Angela. Let me tell you. And I met her at the Godsmack show, you know, because one Sully's got to go see another Sully sing, you know, so always got to represent Godsmack. And, you know, she was right in the second row, had like one of those like tank tops on a little bit, you know, had some nice tats going. So I bought her a beer, and one thing led to another. And, you know, we both have ankle bracelets, which helps us too. You know what I mean? So like they beep when we leave the house. So it's pretty cool. I mean, it works out for both of us. It keeps us both in check.
I just got one question, though.
Yeah.
Does she like dunks?
Oh, she loves dunks, man. She goes in and orders that Sabrina Carpenter drink, that espresso thing, you know. Oh, yeah, she gets that, 3 times a day. She gets all caffeinated up and, you're not like you need caffeine with a guy like me, but, keeps her awake late at night for when we, watch movies and so forth.
Okay, I understand. Well, you usually have some little parting gift for the fans out here. Something's on your mind you'd like to express.
Well, speaking of dunks, okay, let me tell you this. This is coming from Sully, a dunks expert here, okay? People, know what the frig you're gonna order before you get in line. Okay? There's nothing more annoying than the person who's in line for 5 minutes, then they get to the front and they look at the menu. No, come on. Know what the frig you want to get before you get in line. I could tell you the menu backwards, forwards, left to right. Talk to me if you're having trouble reading, okay? Know what you're gonna get. Don't go to the front and go, get up right front and go, hey, I want the cream, extra sugar, extra cream, give me the latte, and I'm out of the door, okay? Keep the line moving at Dunks, people. Let's go.
Sully,
all right.
always good to see you.
Always good to see you, my friend. Thank you so much for having me as a consultant this year.
Okay.
It's a little extra motivation to stay out of the behind bars.
And by our next show, the season will be underway.
It's going to be underway. I'm telling you, I'm all excited. All excited. I'm going to bring Angela to a game. It's going to be freaking awesome.
Okay.
It's always good to see our friend. I'm glad he's doing well. And
Got a lady friend.
He's got a lady friend.
I want to meet Angela.
Good for him. I want to meet Angela too. She's probably pretty hot in sort of a revere big hair kind of way. But we thought we'd just wrap it up with some new faces you might see on the Red Sox
Right.
this year.
They did. Actually, the Sox spent some money, went out and got a couple of pretty big name pitchers.
Yep.
And also, arguably, the most valuable free agent that was out there.
Alex Bregman.
Alex Bregman. And they talked about it. They're going to get him and going to get him. And the naysayers said, never going to spend the money. And they're giving him $120 million for 3 years.
3 year, $120 million
And he's also started a great controversy of who's going to play third.
And he's a wonderful third baseman.
But
Devers is already there. So
Devers is already there, and Devers at this point is shown up for spring training yet.
Yeah,
and is
who knows?
eyeing the third baseman.
So I think that
might be a little brouhaha going there.
So we'll see. But the 2 other pitchers they added were 2 starters. Walker Buehler, who you know from the Dodgers. Garrett Crochet, who was a trade from the White Sox, which they gave up Kyle Teal, the big prospect.
4 prospects.
But we'll
The
see
White
if he's
Sox
worth it.
lost 121 games last year, so having an ace pitcher didn't do
Didn't
much
do
good.
much
He
good
won
at all.
6 games.
Yep. And they also signed, we just mentioned before, Aroldis Chapman, who is a hard-throwing lefty out of the bullpen, who knows, may end up their closer. He's closed a lot of his career. We'll see.
Well,
how
they
he
lost
goes.
Kenley.
Right.
So they
Jansen.
lost one aging reliever and
There he
replaced
is.
him with another one.
There he is, but he can still bring it.
He can bring it if he can bring it over the plate.
Yes,
it's always the key question.
Always, and the last one we thought we'd mention, not a new face necessarily, but he never pitched last year, is Lucas Giolito.
So he's a new pitcher.
So he's a new pitcher this year.
So the top 3 in their rotation are new pitchers.
new guys. Good.
So if they can get Houck and Bayo going,
Good.
that's a pretty solid
All right.
rotation.
So, but we're up against the clock. We need to sign off. Thank you for watching. If you haven't watched the previous seasons, they're all on YouTube.
And we always, again, like to thank our technicians, Dan Senator and John Dextrays. They do a great job delaying our broadcast every year.
Yes,
every month for
they keep us in line.
And so by now we're melting under the
Melting
lights.
under the lights. So take care. Go Sox in 2025.
And 2 more weeks, and baseball will start. Terrific.
All
Go
right.
for it.
Take care, everyone.
Goodbye.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack. I don't care if I ever get back. Let's hear it. Root for the whole team. If they don't win, it's a shame. But it's 1, 2, 3, take it out and be all in. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack. I don't care if I ever get back. Let's hear it. Good for the whole team. If they don't win, it's a